Good evening. Was the coffee good? Yes or not? Yes. Okay, thank you. So, we are 20 minutes late. So, I am going to introduce directly the next high-level panel. The following high-level panel will deal with the issue of sustainability of tourism. An issue very important all over the world, and especially here in Spain. Approximately 13% of GDP is about tourism. So it's very important for all the world and for Spanish people too. We will start with a keynote speech by Ms. Elena Manzanera. As you know, Elena is President National Statistics Institute of Spain, and the panel will be moderated after that by Ms. Clara van der Pol, Acting Chief Statistician of UN Tourism. Mrs. Manzanera, you have the floor as you want, and here your presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon again. Thank you very much, Cristina, for the introduction, and thanks also and again for inviting me to this, this high-level panel. So we are talking about the statistical framework for measuring the sustainability of tourism. So recently, particularly after the COVID pandemic, over-tourism has emerged as a significant global challenge, causing numerous social, environmental, and economic problems, especially in popular tourist destinations and city centers. A global problem has emerged. To drive societal development, it's necessary to maintain tourist activity, but within the framework of sustainable growth. For example, in Spain, over the last 25 years, total visitors increased by 65% and overnight stays by 32%. Regarding tourist infrastructure, the number of hotels rose by 52% and the number of short-stay rental homes tripled, severely impacting the center of big cities like Barcelona, as shown in the slide. Over-tourism leads to environmental degradation, causing pollution, littering, and resource depletion, which affect natural habitats and local communities. Economically, it creates imbalance as large corporations benefit more than local businesses, leading to social inequalities. In addition, popular tourist destinations often face severe overcrowding, straining local infrastructure and services. Overall, over-tourism has diminished the quality of life in tourist destinations. Media coverage of resident dissatisfaction with the current tourist model has caused unrest among local population, sparking numerous citizen protests worldwide. To allow policymakers to make evidence-based decisions to address the shift in the tourist model, rigorous statistical information is needed. United Nations Tourism, with the support of a dedicated expert group, has developed the statistical framework for the measurement of sustainable tourism, MST, summarizing the excellent work done in recent years. The multipurpose conceptual framework supports the recording and presentation of data about the sustainability of tourism, organizing data in 3 dimensions: economic, environmental, and social, and their connection and effects in a holistic way, considering difference across geographic scale from local to national and international levels. The statistical framework for MST establishes a common languages for measuring and presenting sustainable tourism data, transforming primary data into useful statistics for decision-making. It organizes data using common concepts and definition, classification, and reporting rules. Methods and data sources vary by country, with openness to innovative sources like big data or administrative records. The framework requires detailed compilation guidance and the development of relevant indicators. Stakeholders include data producer, mainly national statistical institutes and other authorities, data analysis, and decision makers at both private and public levels. So we are speaking about 3 dimensions, with the first one concerning the economic perspective. Economic sustainability in tourism can be measured through indicators such as the share of tourist activities in the world economy and job creation. These metrics help assess the economic benefits of tourism to host destinations and local communities. There are some economic activities and products that could hardly exist without tourism. These are known as characteristic activities and products. Examples include accommodation, travel agencies, or various forms of transport. Other activities, while not considered characteristic, can also be important for tourism, such as retail trade or food and beverage establishment. Considering the tourism-related portion of each economic activity leads to estimating the overall impact of tourism in a country based on national accounts. This is reflected in the tourism satellite account, which in Spain has been compiled at INE for over 20 years. In the slide, we see the importance of tourism in Spain. At an aggregate level, is the country's leading industry, representing around 12% of the Spanish GDP and employing a similar percentage of the workforce. The second dimension refers to the environment. Measuring environmental sustainability in tourism involves analyzing indicators such as air emission, energy consumption, or the carbon footprint associated with tourism activities. Measuring resource consumption, such as water usage and waste generation, can help identify opportunities to conserve natural resources and reduce waste. The main data source for this purpose is the set of economic environmental accounts compiled in Spain at the INE some over 10 years. Using air emission and energy consumption accounts, we see in the slide the share of greenhouse gases and energy consumed by the main characteristic tourism activities. Transportation is the most notable activities in both charts, followed by accommodation and food and beverage services. Over-tourism also increased waste collection. For instance, in the Balearic Islands, in 2020, the year the pandemic started, the amount of waste collected decreased by 26% compared to the previous year, a normal year in terms of tourism. It's worth to say that this island doubled their population from July to September, making the tourism industry highly significant in the economy. Social sustainability in tourism can be assessed using indicators such as community engagement, cultural preservation, and social inclusion. Identifying opportunities to enhance community participation, support local cultural heritage, and promote inclusive tourist practices that benefit all segments of society is essential. It's important to consider the inequalities caused by over-tourism and measure the subjective satisfaction of tourists. Finally, it's crucial to analyze employment associated with tourism, categorized by characteristics and occupation, following ILO guidelines on decent work and considering wage and salaries in tourism activities. Combining statistical data from these 3 dimensions, economic, environmental, and social, establishes the framework for measuring the sustainability of tourism. A key issue of the statistical framework for MST is the standards used to provide comparable data among economies. The tourism satellite account should be based on two standards: the United Nations System National Accounts and the United Nations World Tourism Organization recommended methodological framework for tourist satellite accounts. Environmental accounts should be based on the United Nations system of economic environmental accounts. Although employment associated with tourism is part of the economic dimension, it's important to extend employment data by integrating other statistical standards and guidelines developed by the ILO, covering data on characteristics of employed persons, including disability and decent work. In Spain, we have started to apply MST by combining environmental accounts and the tourist satellite account. Here, I would like to quickly share some initial results. First, regarding air emissions, tourism activities pollute less than non-tourist activities. As shown in the slide, the total greenhouse gas emissions from tourism are about 8% of the total emission in the economy, while the share of tourism in GDP is around 12%. In terms of energy consumption, tourist activity consume only about 3% of the total energy in the economy, 9 points less than their GDP share. In both cases, the industry with the highest pollution and energy consumption are manufacturing activity and not service activities. Therefore, in Spain, producing 1 billion GDP in tourism emits approximately 27% less than the emission needed for producing 1 billion GDP in the total economy. Similarly, producing 1 billion GDP in tourism requires 70% less energy consumption compared to the total economy. Finally, considering the number of overnight stays and air emissions accounts, we see that each tourist emits around 15 kilograms of CO2 equivalent per day of stay. In my final slide, I would like to outline potential next step for extending the information for measuring the sustainability of tourism. Extend environmental impacts to other topics like waste, water usage, or various ecosystem services. Explore links between the tourism satellite accounts and the social dimension, or discuss the introduction of innovative sources of data from the Corporate Sustainability Report Directive are examples of new work to be developed. This step, along with others, should be addressed by the MST group of experts to provide more guidance to countries in measuring the sustainability of tourism. So it's the final of my presentation. So thank you very much for your attention and for inviting me to this.